we go. All right, so we're recording. Okay, so thanks guys for joining JD and I kind of dragged him into this whole blood type thing. The more we talked about it, he was like, yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So JD had some interesting realizations to share with us tonight, knowing that he's an A blood type. So he'll get to that. But I just want to start by saying, you know, some people have heard of blood type, some people haven't. And what I tell people is, you know, the way I got into it was I learned about it in school. And I was kind of like, I don't know about that. That seems a little out there, not science-based. But then I started having issues with food. I started realizing when I eat this, I don't feel good. When I eat this, I don't feel good. And so somehow I came back in, you know, contact with the book, and I read my blood type, which is B negative. And it said no chicken because this, and no wheat because this, and no corn because this, and tomatoes and peanut butter. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what happens when I eat these foods. And so I just dove in and started reading, and I was like, there is science behind this. So I think it's fascinating. I always tell people it's not a one size fits all tool. Just because you're an A blood type doesn't mean you have to follow the blood type diet for A blood types to a T, but the correlations are strong. So let me start out by kind of explaining what the difference between all the blood types are, because I feel like so many people donate blood. They may know their blood type, they may not, but they don't really understand what makes blood types different. So every blood type except O have what's called antigens, and antigens are little antennas that sit on top or that are on our blood cells, and antigens interact with lectins. Lectins are protein digesting carbohydrates in food. So all foods have lectins. If you guys have ever heard of Dr. Gundry, he's a big lectins guy, but there are lectins in everything. So it's how our antigens on our blood cells interact with the lectins in foods that determine if a food works for us or not. So let me go through the antigens of each blood type. Actually, Jamie and Bill, I already know Corey and JD's. What are you guys' blood types, just for curiosity's sake?
I am O negative.
O negative for Jamie. Bill, do you know yours?
I'm not yet. I'm giving blood this week, so I will know when those come back.
Awesome. Okay. Well, then you can go back and listen to this after you know your blood type. All right, cool. So O blood. So in order of commonness, O's are the most common blood type, then A's, then B's, then AB's. So O is the universal donor. Thank God they're the most common, because they're the ones that can give blood to everybody. And the reason is because they don't have any antigens. They have nothing that conflicts with other blood types' antigens. So it's just isn't there, doesn't conflict. So O blood types are cool because they don't have any antigens. They tend to be very resilient. They tend to get COVID less. If they get it, the symptoms aren't as severe. And the reason for that is that they make a lot of stomach acid naturally. And stomach acid is the body's first line of defense, your digestion, right? So O blood types are typically meat eaters. They love meat, they crave meat, they feel good when they eat meat, they digest it, no problem. The only time I see O's that don't digest meat well is when they've just eaten like crap for years and years and years, maybe too much alcohol, not enough water, not enough good sleep, and then their digestion just falls apart. So it's really interesting. I just had a new client yesterday, I think, and on her survey, she marked bad breath, and she's an O blood type. And I was like, every time O blood types have cast iron stomachs until they don't. And then they start having bad breath issues. And it's because their stomach is so strong that they don't know that there's food in there putrefying and not digesting. They have so much stomach acid, but oftentimes not enough enzymes to digest the food they're eating. So then they end up with really bad breath. So O blood types love meat. They typically love carbs too, but carbs don't love them back. Carbs make them gain weight typically. And it's hit or miss with veggies. I find that they like salads a lot, but not many other veggies a lot of the time. They typically drink a lot of water. Like they have no problem drinking a lot of water every day. Okay, that's O blood type. So A blood types. A blood types, I always say, I'm sorry, when people find out they're A blood type, because they make the least stomach acid, which means they have sensitive stomachs. They have easily upset stomachs. They produce a lot of mucus naturally in response to foods that their body doesn't like. One of those foods is dairy. They don't typically handle dairy well. They typically don't like it very much. They don't gravitate towards it. And if they do like it, they find that it makes them really congested and mucousy and kind of postnasal drip a lot. So, and because they don't make a lot of stomach acid, they typically don't do well with meat. A lot of my A blood types just naturally are like, I just don't like meat. It doesn't agree with me. I don't digest it well. I just don't really like it. I don't have a taste for it. I have had guys kind of like JD that are big into working out and they're like, oh yeah, give me 10 ounces of steak. I love it. And then they come to find out, oh yeah, actually that it doesn't digest. They just never really paid attention. They just go throughout their day and didn't realize that it was a problem. Fish and chicken work pretty well for them, but they do really well leaning vegetarian, as JD will attest to. So lots of veggies. They typically love veggies. They don't do so well with peppers and spicy food. They don't like spicy food normally because it just doesn't sit well. It makes them all mucousy and congested. What else? A blood types tend towards autoimmune issues because they have such sensitive stomachs and digestive tracts. They often tend towards autoimmune issues, viruses, infections, that kind of thing. So again, it's the point of blood type is to realize who you are and to work within those guidelines or those walls. Like, this is who you are physically, physiologically, and what are you going to do about it, right? So again, A blood types kind of take they're like at the bottom of the totem pole in some ways because they just aren't as strong. But knowing what your needs are, you can work around that and be really strong. So not to say that there's nothing you can do about it. There's lots you can do about it. So B blood types, which is what I am, their antigen, A blood types, their antigen is called N-acetylcholine, and they can handle carbs really well. So they need carbs. Actually, I once, before I really knew about blood type, told one of my clients to go way low carb, and she was A blood type, and she just got really lightheaded and really dizzy. And we'd been working on blood sugar. It wasn't a blood sugar issue. It was just her antigens, her blood required carbs and metabolized it really well. She didn't have a weight issue. It was more just blood sugar. So B blood types, they handle dairy really well as long as it's good quality dairy. So organic, for me, it's raw milk. I drink raw milk and I love it. I feel so good, no congestion, no issue. But if I drink pasteurized milk, I'm in the bathroom and gassy, gurgly, bloated, and all of that. So good quality dairy, but in balance, right? So JD and I talk a lot about balance. You can't go, oh, well, dairy is good for me, so I'm just going to eat a crap ton of dairy all the time. You have to balance it out with veggies and the right kinds of protein. So B blood types don't do well with chicken. And I found that out for myself to be true. Some of my B blood types, they're like, nah, I don't notice I have an issue. And that's fine. Like I said, it's not a one size fits all, but a girl, one of my clients yesterday just said, oh yeah, chicken makes me constipated. And I was like, yep, it's the lectins and the muscle of the meat that makes, it just doesn't agree with the B blood type digestive tract. B blood types also tend to share some of the A blood type stuff, which is not as much stomach acid. And so I find I can't eat a lot of meat. I lean vegetarian, I eat fish, and that's about it. So, you know, I always tell people to play with it. It's not like an overnight process, but as JD will talk about, like if you get the book, and I recommend that you get the book, it's called Eat Right for Your Type. I can send you guys a link for it if you're interested. You can buy it on Amazon, but it goes through each section and it's a really easy read. It's like, if you're an A blood type, this is how many eggs you should have a week. This is how many, you know, of this veggie and this veggie. And something that I think is so interesting about blood type is that we tend to think all carbs are the same, all veggies are the same, all fruits are the same, all juices are the same, and they're just not. And I realized that before, it's like pineapple juice, I feel amazing. It doesn't cause blood sugar issues, doesn't give me a headache. Apple juice and orange juice, I feel gross. I feel tired. I feel headachy and all of that. So it's really meant to be a tool and a guideline and kind of a, experiment with it and see how you feel when you do certain things. A blood types, it says that soy is really good for them. And I am in principle against soy because of what Americans have done to it. We've bastardized it by genetically modifying it and mass producing it. And there's phytic acid in it, which blocks absorption of certain minerals and vitamins. And it's got the hormone component. But for A blood types, it makes them feel good. It helps, it's just genetically their body's like, yeah, I like that. I can use that. So same thing for O blood types with meat. Me, not so much. JD, not so much. But those O blood types, they just feel so good when they eat meat. So ABs, ABs are the most rare, and they get, a little bit of both of the A and B traits. So I find that they don't eat beef very well, but they do eat chicken pretty well. They can get that from the A blood type. They tend to have the sensitive digestive tracts, but they tend to be a little more like flexible. They can kind of grab from both sides. So that's kind of a rundown as far as foods go. But bananas and tomatoes and peppers are no-goes for A blood types. And I once had a client that came in already knowing about blood type, and she said, I gave up bananas and tomatoes and changed nothing else about my diet, didn't start exercising like crazy. She lost 9 pounds. And so oftentimes when I talk to people about weight loss, and I'm sure JD sees this too, it's not just about calories in and calories out. Of course, if you eat too many calories and you don't burn it off, your body's going to store that as fat. But a lot of the time people have a deficit and they still can't lose weight. And so that's when I go, okay, what is your body? Why is your body holding on to stuff? What is your body holding on to? If your liver's not functioning well, then there's that. If your thyroid's not functioning well, then your metabolism is going to be slow and you're just not burning calories, even though you're not eating a lot of calories. O blood types tend towards thyroid issues, Hashimoto's, Graves' disease. Those are autoimmune thyroid issues. And autoimmune issues are more prevalent these days because of the crazy amount of toxins that we're exposed to, the chemicals, the hormone disruptors, all of that. But O blood types already have a tendency towards thyroid issues. So that's important. And that's why carbs are such a big deal to minimize, especially wheat and corn. I get my O blood type clients to switch to like brown rice and quinoa, and they're like, oh my gosh, my gut feels so much better, my energy feels so much better, and I'm losing weight. So corn and wheat are just horrible for the O blood type gut, which affects weight. Oh, and A and B, AB and AB, they tend towards liver issues. So let me talk really quickly about things like supplements and supplementation that's important to be aware of, and then I'll talk about stress really quick, and then JD is going to talk about exercise. So O blood types tend to do or tend to need iodine. They need to supplement iodine. Iodine is the mineral that feeds the thyroid and keeps it regulated and regulating metabolism. So iodine from kelp, seaweed. You don't want to do synthetic iodine. It's not good for you and the body can't use it the way it's supposed to. And then the other one that's really important is calcium, because I don't know if I said this, but O blood types typically don't like dairy and they typically don't handle it well anyway. So they kind of avoid it and then they're calcium deficient. So calcium is really important for the immune system and that thyroid autoimmune component. Calcium is really important. So calcium lactate or calcium citrate, not calcium carbonate. Write that down. No calcium carbonate. It's the most common form of calcium, but it's the worst form. It's rock hard. It's like limestone. It's insoluble. It takes a lot of stomach acid to break it down. So calcium and iodine, those are the two things that you want to focus on supplement wise if you don't eat dairy or seaweed. But if you do eat seaweed, go for it, because seaweed has a ton of iodine. So if you eat seaweed like twice a week, you're good to go. And then for A blood types, I typically say, milk thistle is really good for the liver. Calcium supplement also if you don't eat a lot of calcium containing foods, and it doesn't have to be just dairy. It could be almonds, broccoli, beet leaves. What else? It could even be ghee. Ghee is lactose-free butter, but you'll still get some calcium from that. So a lot of people don't get enough calcium. I supplement with calcium because I don't get enough in my diet. So, and then for A and B and AB blood types, I say licorice is a really good, it's really good for the adrenal glands. So I haven't talked about stress yet, but this will be my kind of my segue into it. Licorice helps regulate cortisol and adrenal gland function, and the adrenal glands have a huge job. They make your blood pressure hormone and progesterone and estrogen, and they help make testosterone, and they make corticosteroids, which are natural anti-inflammatories, and they make epinephrine, which helps you not react negatively to foods like peanuts and different food allergy foods. And then it also makes what am I blanking? Sorry. Adrenaline and cortisol. So adrenaline is your fast acting stress hormone, right? Puts you right into fight or flight to handle whatever the stressor is. And cortisol is the more long acting stress hormone. So cortisol is thought to be the fat hormone, but it's not, it's a stress hormone. So if you're always stressed, your body's always making adrenaline and cortisol. So cortisol in O blood types spikes up when the stressor's there. When the stressor goes away, cortisol goes right back down to normal, which is awesome, makes them more resilient. A, B, and AB blood types, they make less cortisol. So it goes up to like here instead of way up here. It's like here, but as soon as the stressor goes away, the cortisol is like, I'm just gonna stick around just in case you need me. And so it just stays and stays and stays. And it depletes your body of B vitamins, vitamin C, and minerals that helped make that cortisol and adrenaline. And so you end up depleted of B vitamins and vitamin C, which helps helps give you energy, helps you sleep at the right time of day, helps you have energy at the right time of day. So I find that O blood types have energy all day long. They wake up feeling good, they're ready to go, they're morning people, they have energy, they just go and go and go and go and go. If they sit down and relax, they might fall asleep. But if they just keep going, they're fine. They have no energy issues, and they like to go to bed a little bit earlier, and they like to wake up early. A's, B's, and ABs. I would say they're less morning people, maybe less naturally morning people. Actually, that's not true. I think A's are morning people, B's not so much, B's and ABs. A's still like to get up early, but they tend to have that chronic fatigue issue where they may not wake up feeling as like get up and go as they want to, and they might have those dips throughout the day because their adrenals are just not naturally strong enough to keep producing. Sorry, Jamie just posted in the chat. This made me laugh because the minute I sit down on the couch, I fall asleep, and she's an O. That's funny. It's true, right? So A's and B's both tend to have chronic fatigue issues. B's tend to not be as much morning people. A's do, but they both tend to have dips in energy throughout the day. Their bodies are just like, I don't have the constant source of B vitamins and vitamin C and all of that to give you cortisol. So cortisol is supposed to spike between 6 and 8 a.m. to give you that get up and go feeling, right? And then it spikes around noon and around 4 to keep you going. Energy, energy, energy. If you're the kind of person that is tired all day and then you get that second wind at night, that's bad. It's a very much so people's normal. It used to be mine. And it's just a sign that your adrenals are exhausted. They're depleted. They don't have the vitamins and minerals that they need to sustain themselves. So something that's really important to know is, one, feed your body B vitamins, vitamin C, and minerals. B vitamins and vitamin C are water soluble, which means your body doesn't need them right now, it's going to pee them out. So you have to constantly be replenishing your B vitamins, especially because there's B1, B2, B3, B6, B12, that's at least 5, but there's B5, and so there's 6 B vitamins. And they all have millions of different roles: converting food into energy, reducing stomach inflammation, getting lactic acid out of your muscles, regulating your circadian rhythm, converting serotonin, converting B6 into serotonin and dopamine, which gives you motivation and focus and, you know, ambition, get up in the morning and go. So if you're depleted, if you drink alcohol, you check out your B vitamins. There's lots of, it's really easy to become B vitamin deficient. So nutritional yeast is my biggest recommendation and the easiest recommendation, I think, because you can throw it in soups, sauces, smoothies, you can put it on eggs, you can put it on veggies, you can put it anywhere. I do only recommend, I just found a new brand that I recommend, but I'll tell you both of what they are. One is called Trim Healthy Naturals Nutritional Yeast. You can buy it online on their website, trimhealthynaturals.com. And the other one I recommend, a new one I just found out, is called Noochi, Noochy. Client showed it to me. It's not pasteurized, it's not fortified, which are my complaints about most nutritional yeast. So I don't recommend the ones at the stores, but Noochi and Trim Healthy Naturals, you can buy them online. And they're so good for you. They've got all the B vitamins, including B12, which is normally only found in animal protein. So for us vegetarian leaning folk, we need B12 to oxygenate our blood and to give us energy. So that's what I recommend for B vitamins. Vitamin C, really easy to get: broccoli, pineapple, kiwi, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. People always think of oranges. Oranges work well. I don't really like oranges, but I love pineapple. And pineapple's cool because it has bromelain, which is an enzyme that helps you break down protein. So if any of you or someone you know has trouble breaking down animal protein, throw a little pineapple in there and it'll actually really, really help break down protein. So last thing, and then I'm going to pass the mic over to JD. The body makes something called DBH. It's an enzyme that converts dopamine into norepinephrine. So norepinephrine is a stress hormone. You don't want your happy brain chemical dopamine being converted into norepinephrine. So O blood types make the most DBH. If you exercise, it lowers your DBH production, which means you get to keep your dopamine. So that's why I find that a lot of O blood types love exercise. They love it. They crave it. They feel so much better when they have it. A and B and AB blood types don't make as much. And so they don't need that hardcore physical every single day or several times a week exercise, because their bodies just physiologically don't need it as much. So I'm a dancer. I love my dancing. And the book, the blood type book, actually says dance, hike, bike ride with people, all the social, not hardcore, but physical, you know, active, be active, but don't feel the need to over exercise, because you make too much cortisol, you're going to be depleted. And JD talked about this earlier at our workshops that we did this afternoon. And I just loved it. So I'm going to reiterate it. He'll probably say it again, but he said, you know, if you over exercise, you're going to get worse and worse and worse. He used the analogy of him playing basketball. He started to suck the more he played because he wasn't giving his body a break. And so if you break your body down, if you use all of your reserves, your nutrients, your minerals, all of that, and you don't give your body a chance to relax, AB and ABs, we're the ones we need to relax. Those do too sometimes. But anyway, just Jamie, as an O blood type, you make a lot of DBH. And so I don't know if you feel this way, but exercise just keeps you balanced. So with that said, I'm going to pass the mic to JD so he can give us his expertise on exercise and mindset about exercise.
Yeah, so we can just kind of go right along with the O's since we mentioned that right here. So exercise wise, you know, with the diet side of things, those are the meat eaters, right? So just think meat, think hunter, think I need to go get some meat every single day. So I need to use my activity to go out, catch my food, and eat it. So that exercise, right, going along with the DBH, is going to help give you the serotonin. It's going to help you feel better. But under stress, it's really valuable. And that's going to be the opposite for the A's, and also similarly the ABs. The Bs are a little bit different. So on the opposite end of the spectrum are more of the AB, and they're more of the vegetarian. They're more the gatherers. They're the more walking in nature, relaxing, slow down, not that high intensity sprinting, going after a kill. They're the more, agrarian, plant some food, water it, wait for it, let it grow type people. So that sort of modality is just in general how you want to kind of think about the spectrums. And then Bs fall somewhere in the middle, but it might be a little bit more intense on some aspects, a little bit less intense on others. So in that middle, and then also social. Now, on top of that, you have to take into your temperament and your personality, extroverted, introverted, all that goes into it as well. But just some things to think about is like the O blood type, physical sports, where it's aggressive, football, basketball, where you're doing things and you're competing against other people, you're better suited for those types of activities. CrossFit, high intensity exercise, running. There's lots of things that you can do. Now, does that mean an A, an AB, or a B can't do those things? Not necessarily. You can still do those things. But like Carrie was saying, when I never really noticed in my basketball career, when I was younger and in high school, that I noticed it, but I didn't make the connection that if I kept playing and playing and playing, more is better. No pain, no gain. Go, 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 go. Sign up for a tournament. Do this. I would play well, and then I would just crash. And so I was kind of always a little bit streaky. I would have good matches and then kind of taper off. Good, taper off. I always got better, always, when I took time off. If I took a week off or I took some days off, I always came back. If I didn't practice, I didn't do anything, and I played, I was always better. It was without, there was never a time where I didn't improve as a whole from taking a break. So that rest factor is very, very crucial. The book, the Eat Right for Your Type, talks about what the A's, the A and the AB as, the stress response where it stays with you. So you need more of the relaxation, the breathing, the yoga, the Tai Chi, those types of things to help balance out. Now, I look at that and I say, well, I'm not going to do Tai Chi. I'm not going to do yoga. Like those things would be great. I might meditate. I might do some breathing, but I still want to work out. So how do I get my intensity, my goals of building muscle, of keeping my ripped figure, keeping my strength, whatever it is that I'm going for, how do I keep that in? And the big key is, and what we're going to shape this around are, I'm just going to call them the 3 S's, and what you can use and check in with yourself, whether you're an O, right? You're going to be on one side, whether you're a B, kind of in the middle, A and AB were on the other side. Are the 3 S's are going to be sleep, stress, and sick. So sleep, how much are you sleeping? Did you sleep at all? Did you get a great night's sleep? Were you on and off? Stress. So, it has nothing to do with exercise, but what's your mental state? What's your emotional state? What's your work like? What's your life like? What's going on around you? Are you at a 10 out of 10? Are you at a 2 out of 10? Are you somewhere in between? So checking in with the stress, and then sick or symptoms. So symptoms of being sick. Do you have a scratchy throat? Do you have a little bit of a cough? Not I'm sick, I'm in the hospital, I'm on a ventilator, all right. No. Are you starting to feel run down? Are you starting to have some congestion? Do you have a cough, runny nose, whatever it might be, where you're starting to get into those sick symptoms? Check in with that. So for someone like the O type, they're they need the exercise. So when they're getting stressed out, right, they need the release of the exercise. When they're feeling a little bit more sick, they might need to sweat it out, right? Some people say that all the time. I feel so much better when I sweat it out when I'm starting to feel sick. They feel better. An A type, if we do that, we're going to get more sick more often than not. Now, you might be a little bit different, especially if the exercise is less intense, right? If it's not, nervous system driven, where you're lifting weights or doing some really high intensity exercise. So you can check in with the 3 S's or 4 S's if you want to include the symptoms as part of it, but check in with that where you're at. So again, that O's, they kind of need more of the intensity, more of the exercise. On the other end, A, B, less intense, more rest periods, more relaxation, and then B somewhere in the middle. Sometimes they need a little bit more, sometimes they need a lot. And if you take like yourself as a B, Carrie, and you say, well, if I'm really stressed out, right, how does my body respond to it? Do I need a nap? Do I need to relax? Do I feel better after a vacation or a massage? Versus, I mean, everybody feels better after vacation or massage, but you know what I'm saying in regard to the way that you respond and handle the stress or the sickness. So where are you at with those? It'll help you program your workouts and your lifestyle. So, like I said earlier, I still have certain goals for myself. And just because I'm an A type, I'm not going to just settle for, oh, you should just be doing Tai Chi and yoga all the time. No, I want to build muscle. I want to lift weights. I want to do things for myself. Well, how do I program that in? Well, again, this is anecdotal, but it goes along with what we're trying to accomplish by personalizing things through your genetics, basically with your blood type, is if I do too much, I don't get the results. So if I work out too often, I don't see the strength gain. If I work out too often, I don't see the muscular gain. So with me, I have to program in my rest periods. I have to program in days off. That's how I make the biggest gains. So being conscious of how much rest I get, how much relaxation, massage. I have all these foam rollers that I'm sitting on. I have to make sure that I'm, releasing the tension and relaxing and breathing, and doing that. And if I have a day where I say I'm still going to work out, even if I do feel a little bit stressed because I just want to, instead of doing 3 sets of 10 or doing an intense workout for an hour and a half, I'll shorten things up. I'll take longer rest periods. I'll do 1 or 2 sets of 10, just for example, instead of 3 or 4. I'll work out for 45 minutes versus an hour or hour and a half, whatever it might be. So that's on the A side of things. We need that, relaxation. We need a little bit more rest, especially when we're more stressed, if we haven't slept, not feeling well. The O types, again, they might need a little bit more, but again, you can always wear yourself out. So it's not like, okay, I haven't slept in 3 days. I've just ran 48 miles, in record time, and I feel like my throat is a golf ball. Let's go lift some weights. It doesn't necessarily work like that. You still have a nervous system load on your body. So you want to look for and strive for balance with anything, but just think, okay, if I exercise, does that release my stress and I feel better after that? O's tend towards that. On the other side of things, you need a nap if you're an A. You need to meditate, you need to breathe, you need to do something more relaxing. Another thing for A's would be like taking a walk in nature, right? Slowing things down. Being in nature is another great thing. If you think about the agrarian side of things as the A, they're more suited to the greenery, right? The plants, the animals, all that kind of stuff that are out and around where they would be either gathering or planting. It kind of brings their mood up and helps them get out of their own head, seeing the colors and all that. Bees on the other side, and again, bees, we're using the social aspect of things, but they're kind of, maybe a little bit of O, or a little bit of A kind of combined, but the social aspect of things, doing things in a group setting, kayaking, going out, with people, dancing like Carrie was talking about, line dance, we're around a bunch of people. that can be for other people's social type. If you're more extroverted, even if you're an A, if you're an AB, if you're a B or an O, you can still incorporate those things in. So you take who you are, right? And then think, okay, how am I going to maximize that? And then how am I going to balance it? So in regard to the stress, again, O's need a little bit more, A's, AB's, a little bit more of the relaxation. It does, the book talks about Tai Chi for relaxation, and that can be used to balance out an O as well, but it really recommends it for the A's and the AB's, a little bit for the B's as well. But another one that is really good, and there's tons of resources online. You can just watch a video because it connects your breathing. It's very yoga-like, but it's mostly standing. It works a lot on balance. Is Qigong, or like Qigong. That's another great one. It focuses again on the breathing, on the balance, on body movements, very similar to Tai Chi, but it's not as advanced. So that's a great way to balance things out. But simple ways of refreshing the body again, and this goes for all types, is massage, self massage with foam rollers, or massage guns are very popular now. Yoga and stretching. It doesn't need to be a hot yoga session at a studio. It can just be going over a few stretches in areas that you feel tight, massaging certain areas that help release some of that tension. And that is required for everybody, whether you work out or whether you don't. Your body's got tension from sitting, from standing, from stress. So getting that balance back in through massage, through a little bit of stretching, goes a long way. Same thing with meditation, right? Again, good for everyone, probably best for the A's and the AB's, who tend to be a little bit more of that kind of cortisol all day long. 1 minute, 2 minutes of meditation can give you a lot throughout the day. So it doesn't take a lot. Like I'm saying, you don't need an hour and a half massage every single day. 5-10 minutes where you're just working through some kinks, 5 minutes of meditation, but even a moment of relaxation will give you so much more, right? We sleep for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, but we're up for 16, 18, 20 hours throughout the day. We're up a lot more than we sleep, but that sleep helps recharge us and get us back in. So that's the same thing with meditation, with breathing, with massage. It doesn't have to be every single day and all day. You can still be intense. If you're an A, an AB, you just got to program in that balance.
JD, can I say something kind of in conjunction with the stress and the sick thing you were talking about? Something that I've been telling people lately is when you're stressed, you should treat your body like you have the flu, right? Because your body's trying to tell you something, right? So just because you feel stressed today and maybe you don't feel like exercising doesn't mean that if you give yourself some rest that you won't recharge, like JD was saying, right? So checking in with yourself and going, how do I feel today? You don't have to like plan what you're going to do for the week. Kind of take it day by day and go, okay, how do I feel? What do I need in the moment?
Yeah, and athletes and lots of these like I don't know if Fitbit does it, but I'm sure other exercise and activity trackers will track your heart rate variability, and that's a great sign of overtraining or overstress. A lot of them, like, they track your sleep, and so you want to know these things or be aware of them, or check in, like we're saying, just have a little quick check-in. Where are we at, right? So that you can tell, okay, if my heart rate variability, which is just kind of like variability of your heart rate, meaning we don't want it to be just like a metronome constantly. We want it to breathe in, it goes up a little bit, breathe out, it kind of relaxes. So we actually want some variability, not like 1 beat and then 1 beat, 2 beat, 3 beat, like a song, like dun 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 dun. No. We want it like, it's somewhat consistent, but we want it to react with our breathing, with our body, because it says, it kind of is in tune. But if my heart rate variability is, if I'm on, right, it's like stress, 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 training all out on a day like that, I'm not going to get the benefits. And again, that goes doubly for the A and the AB blood types. So the Bs have a little bit more leeway. The O's, they have a lot more leeway, and again, they kind of require it. They need the exercise. Obviously, if things are in alignment, go for it. When you're stressed, go for it. On the other end, a little bit more relaxation. Don't think I had anything else. Of course, lots of things depend on your goals. So, if you're saying, hey, like me, Tai Chi and yoga, that's not going to get me to my weight loss goal or muscular goal. Physique a lot of times comes down to what you're eating. So focusing in on the changes that can make a big difference, like Carrie was saying, cutting out a couple of different foods, and their client loses 9 pounds. So getting in tune with what you're eating will help the physique. That helps, with me tremendously. Carrie was talking about, I recently have been getting into the blood type diet, and I've started to switch over to more vegetarian, and I feel great. I thought that I wouldn't, right? I was like, I'm going to try it anyways, but I feel great. I still have the muscle mass. I still have the energy. Actually, I have more energy. So if you know how to do it right, if you're balancing out, getting enough of the right amino acids in the foods, you're still going to be able to build muscle, and it might optimize it for you if you're that blood type. On the other end, with the O's, eating the meat, but if we're eating the lots of the carbs, lots of the sugar, lots of sugars, it'll set you off, and you could have the opposite effect. So making sure that you're staying within those guidelines. Again, it's not a end all be all, this is what you have to do forever. It's a framework, and depending on where you want to take your goals, you work out of that, right? We're in here. Sometimes you can step outside the box and go, but there are going to be some risks with that. And that goes for the exercise thing as well. There's no one size fit all, and not every O is exactly like every other O. Same thing with the A's, same thing with the ABs and with the B's. So always, take this as, does this sound right? Does this, practice it? Does this end up working out? Again, using these kind of check-in, sleep, stress, sick, to find, is that me? And if you don't fall into it, it's not to say that's it, right? You still can use some of this to maximize. And we've talked about this before on other ones. It's just those little changes over time that are going to pay big dividends. If we try to hit home runs, a lot of times we end up striking out. But if we just get on base and we get to first base, then we get to second base, it's slowly but surely we can chip away, and then all of a sudden we're where we want to be. So that's it for me on the exercise things. I'd love to open it up for questions if Carrie doesn't have anything else she wants to add.
I do have one more thing. I could talk about blood type for days, but one thing you mentioned, try something, find your balance, it's not a one size fits all. Something that I always tell people, if like they're an O and they're like, no, I don't have a cast iron stomach, I can't handle meat. Well, stress, deficiencies, you have to take other variables into account, right? Your blood chemistry is always changing based on stress, based on what you eat or don't eat, based on what you drink or don't drink, if you're taking lots of medications, all of that. So try adding in a couple things in the book. And again, I highly recommend getting the book. It lists, by O's, A's, B's, ABs, highly beneficial in the meat category, neutral, and then avoid. So there's, whenever we're talking about our health, like we want to optimize our health the most we possibly can, right? So if you eat a bunch of foods that are in the neutral category all the time, you're not going to feel bad, but you're not going to feel as good as you could, right? So that's important. It has that in every single, in the nuts and legumes, in the dairy section, in the veggies section, in the fruits and the drinks. They even talk about alcohol. It's really, really interesting. So look at the highly beneficial stuff and pick one or two of those things and go, oh, I actually like those, but I never eat them. Let's do this. And just add it in and just see how you feel and see what you notice. And, just use it as another tool to achieving your optimal health. That's all. Anybody have any questions? No? Jamie, Bill?
Why can't I be the one to give up bananas and tomatoes and lose 9 pounds is my question. Why can't that be me?
You don't like those things already? It gotta be easy, right? Yeah. Yeah. You know, Jamie, the reason that I got into this is because chicken and bread were giving me issues. I ate bread at breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. And when I realized, I was like, I think wheat is a problem for me. I was like, what am I eating? Like, it just was such a mental block that I was like, I can't have bread like ever, because my intestines would burn for 3 days if I ate gluten. I finally made the connection. And I was like, holy crap, that sucks. But, you know, it kind of forces you outside of your food rut box, right? And you go, okay, I'm going to try quinoa. I've never tried quinoa, or I'm going to try brown rice, or I'm going to find some new recipes. The cool thing about the blood type book is that they have recipes for O blood types and B blood types and A blood types and all of that. So I'm telling you, it's a bang for your buck value. I highly recommend the book.
How quickly do you tend to see responses in the body? Like when people truly start attempting to pay attention? Do you notice it right away? Is it one meal and you're like, aha, now I know what she's talking about?
Well, you know, I have people that within like 5 days, they're like, oh my gosh, my digestion, my energy is so much better. Some people lose weight in 2 weeks, you know, it just depends on how like all in they are. If people are eating a ton of sugar and they cut it back by 50%, they might not lose weight because they're still fueling their body with sugar and inflammation and water retention and all of that. So it kind of depends on people's individual circumstances. But if people, like I had one girl in 2 weeks, she got rid of all of her joint pain. Her energy was night and day different. Her digestion was normal when it had been horrible. And I just had her add in a few things and just cut back on sugar, like, you know, drastically, but not cut it out completely, and avoid wheat and corn. And she was an O blood type. And 2 weeks, and she was like, holy crap, I feel so much better. So
Yeah,
it's hard.
I'll just, you know, add in on, you know, I recently switched over to, and I was eating meat a lot, not, you know, not breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but I was eating a lot, eggs, chicken, beef, you know, whatever. And I recently switched over, and I haven't eaten meat in a couple of weeks. I had some fish recently, but I took some time off of just all meat whatsoever. And lots of symptoms went away that I've been working on already. And so no, that might be due to other issues that are going on. Obviously, I'm working with Carrie and she's helping me out. But, you know, I definitely see a change. Like we were talking about with A's and soy, I was always anti-soy. You know, all of my research and lots of things that, you know, I've read from people that I highly respect say stay away from it. But for us A's, it can be beneficial, and as long as you're getting organic and good sources. But like that was one of the things that I really was surprised with, that it has helped me out. And again, my whole thing with like soy is it mimics estrogen. So you're, you know, as a guy or guy or girl, right? You're kind of afraid of what hormonal responses are gonna. Is that a dog or a horse right there? Goodness. And you know, I'm afraid of the hormonal responses, you know, of you know, becoming a soy boy or becoming a, you know, man boobs or something like that. Like I don't want any of that, so I'm staying away from it. But none of those effects, obviously, some of those things can take time, but the energy side of things, the strength side of things, you know, I'm pretty in tune with my body, so I can feel what goes on. So I was surprised on that. And again, it's just, you know, trying things and seeing how it correlates into what you're doing, and you'll know pretty quick. So she was saying 5 days. I always say give it at least a week. You know, 3 weeks is better than 1 week to try things out. And I think another thing that I think us on this call and other people listening to it recorded later, when we talk carbs and we say, oh, carbs are great, she's not talking about cookies, candies, crackers, chips, sodas. She's talking about, like rice and quinoa and fruits and vegetables and things that are real foods. All right. When she says licorice, she's not talking about red vines. All right. Because when she said, hey, A's, licorice and carbs, I'm going, I know exactly what I'm eating for dinner tonight, baby. All right, let's do it.
I have in my notes licorice.
Sorry, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, good point. Like an actual licorice from the herb licorice.
So you get that for like teas. You can get like licorice root tea, and
you can get it in supplement form. I take a standard process supplement that has it. It's called ashwagandha, and it's got 4 different herbs, but licorice is one of them. And last year, I kid you not, during the pandemic, I was having so much anxiety and stress because of a lot of things, and I was awake, like wide awake till 5 a.m. And I was like, what is going on? Like, this is not me. Like, I like to stay up, but not this late. And I took my ashwagandha with licorice in it, and it knocked me, my stress down and my circadian rhythm balanced out. And I was going back to, sleep at a normal time. So I always tell people, it's just about having the tools that, get you back in balance, right? So JD, when you were talking about being a soy boy, we've kind of talked about this some, but that's why it's so important. I tell people to take care of your liver, because your liver regulates and gets rid of excess hormones. That if it mimics estrogen and that estrogen's hanging out in your pecs, then yeah, it's going to cause man boobs, right? But if you have a very functional liver that's able to filter out all those excess hormones, then you should be totally fine. And that's why I tell people, do a cleanse once or twice a year, just to clean out all the crap that accumulates over the year and has accumulated for years and years before you ever started working on your health. So, there you go.
Any other questions, Bill, Jamie, before we head out of here? Bill's got to find out his blood type so that you can.
I know, I was going to make that comment. I so wish I knew it now, because then I would have known what to focus on. But it's cool to know all of that. Can, how, I don't know, I guess you can get really finite with it. And the way I think I would do it is just change one thing at a time. And because I'm kind of thinking I'm O-type, because the way you describe, I rarely have stomach issues. I could eat almost anything, and it doesn't, but there is a point that meat was difficult. It wasn't processing through my body, but still, I mean, I can just eat about anything and be fine.
And you like exercise? It makes you feel good?
Yeah, I just ran 6 miles. I feel great.
Oh, yeah, you have to be an O blood type.
Yeah.
Something's missing there for me. I'm an imposter on the O.
Yeah, you're an O imposter. I love it. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hit stop recording. Thanks for being here, guys.